Not unmuted. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Leslie, I saw that you were about to unmute and tell me that. I appreciate you. Um, Good morning, everybody. We had a great day yesterday. I want to give a shout out to Rachel from Luxury, getting everybody in there and going through that mastermind was really great. And then shout out to Linda and Leslie. Y'all, the team meeting yesterday was awesome. It was probably one of my favorites because I actually dove in and did it. So, essentially what they did is they took a specific prompt and then used that prompt in whatever LLM y'all preferred, and then it built out what you wanted to be known for, what your niche was. Also built out collateral pieces, so marketing pieces that you could put out on social. And the beautiful thing is I was able to figure that out and do that in Canva, which is a miracle. So anyway, it was awesome. So thank y'all for that. It was great information yesterday. I appreciate you. We also have, I don't know if there's any other COTDs today. Linda or Leslie, fill me in on that.
Nope, we've just got Red Day tomorrow.
Red Day is tomorrow. The office will be shut down. So nobody will be in any of the offices. And the goal is to go serve. We are needing, I think we need a couple of weed eaters. I think we need some lawnmowers and some hedge trimmers. So please go help us find some of this stuff so we can, our goal is to clean up 10 yards. We need some great muscle power. So please recruit some of your friends to come join you. Don't have to be a KW. You don't have to be an agent to do it. So please, we need some help so that we can get this done tomorrow. So that's tomorrow at 8:30. And if you need to come and go, that's totally fine too. But we're really needing some equipment for that. And then Mississippi, I know, is going to do it at the Dream Center. All right, Leslie, if you will share your screen, please. Miss Patricia's on here. I know I said last week she was going to wrap us up with the creative financing lender section. And so I'm going to ask her, I'm going to go down each item and then ask her to explain, and then I'll ask some additional questions. Patricia, thank you for all you do. All right, we're on number 3. If you look at the shared screen, can you briefly talk to us? I know we understand buy downs, but can you briefly talk to us about lender funded buy downs?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning. First, lender pay buy down is just that. The lender is actually going to pay the buy down to lower the payment. So if you have someone that is looking to get their payment down, this will be a great option starting out. So, example, the most popular one I'll talk about real quickly is like a 2-1 buy down. And what that does is that allows, let's just say, for instance, that the going rate, I'm just throwing this out, is 7%. So you'll have the borrower, they'll actually start off with a 5% interest rate for the first 12 months. Second year, it'll actually go to 6%. And then the third year into the duration of the loan, it'll go to 7%. So it allows them to, start off at a lower payment and the lender will cover it. Now, keep in mind, because it's a lender funded buy down, there are times where the lender fees can be slightly increased to cover the buy down. So just kind of keep that in mind as
You're
it relates
paying
to
the
cost.
fees. You're
Hmm.
paying the fees up front, right? But the lender's paying it for the buy
Yes,
down,
that is
right?
correct. Hmm.
I have a stupid question about that. So the
Hmm.
fees that they're paying up front, is that essentially affording the buy down from the lender? Like, is that
Yes,
really where that money's getting reallocated?
yes, yeah,
So
pretty
what was
much.
the difference between if I just, as a consumer, just went straight to purchase, doing the buy down myself versus a lender doing it?
You can actually do that, but the thing about it is if you just pay the buy down yourself, just mind you, the difference is when you do the buy down, it's just that particular buy down. On the 2-1 buy down, it will change. Um, the cost on it, you'll have to actually bring it to closing. On the 2-1 buy down or on the buy downs, you'll actually have to finance it into the loan. So let me say it again. If you actually do the buy the rate down yourself, that is money that you'll have to actually bring to the closing table.
Gotcha.
Versus when you do the 2-1 buy down, like a buy down, it's actually financed into the loan.
Got it. That's
Hmm.
really good information. Is everybody following what she's saying? So if you're more liquid and you have more cash and you want to use that to do the buy down, then you can do that. So you've got more cash that you're bringing to the closing table. But if you're doing a 2-1 lender funded, then you can get it financed into the loan. So
Right.
I mean,
Hmm.
if I'm really supporting my client, I'm going to ask them to do a fee sheet for both, right? So y'all understanding this so that you can ask these questions to the lenders so that because the consumer doesn't know what to ask, right? I mean, Patricia, I know you see this all
Right.
the time.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but creatively, how can y'all ask some of these questions so the consumer can really start comparing their fee estimates, worksheets to see what makes sense for them? So, I mean, some of them may be willing to bring more cash to the table. Some people may not have the cash to bring to the table or they want to keep their cash. So, they can do a 2-1. Love that. Thank you for
Yep.
that. That's great info. And then
Yep.
it says Fannie Mae's My Community Mortgage.
Okay. My community is it's a Fannie Mae product. Typically, they're conventional loans. Okay. So, and normally the traditional loans, conventional loans are 5% down, but you have a My Community mortgage where you can get conventional financing with 3% down. And the thing with that, with the My Community mortgages, though, you have to know that it has to be within a certain um, area, and they may have income limitations. So it is conventional, 3% down, but you do have to make sure that they fit within the income limitations. And also with that, with that Fannie Mae My Community, you can double up on programs. So if you have a conventional My Community, 97%, but then you have another program that you can tack on top of that, you can do that as well. But there are some restrictions, as it relates to that.
Didn't know that either. So that is
Mhm.
great advice. Here's the deal, y'all. I said this last week. I'm going to say it again. You need to take this screenshot and you need to have this in your back pocket so that you can ask additional questions. You're not going to know all of these programs. That's not our job to know all the programs. But it is our job to have a general understanding of options for our people. And it's our job to help open up the dialogue and the conversation so that our customers can access these things, right? So we're the conduit and they're the providers, if that makes sense. All right. Then you said we've got running scenarios with automated underwriting systems.
Okay. So we have what we call desktop underwriting, and we also have loan prospect underwriting. Both of those are underwriting systems that we go through when we're decisioning the loan. So when the customer comes in, bring their docs, we put all the information in, we hit this button, and it's going to spew out the results. And that is the desktop, it's called the desktop underwriting systems. Both they're different. You have loan prospect and desktop. And I'll say this, on the loan prospect, it's more so geared toward, it's it's more so geared toward I use loan prospects when I'm at running when someone comes in with just I do a soft pull on their credit. I run it through, it'll give me the decisions. And it may not come back approved, but desktop can be a little bit more lenient and I'll run it through desktop and I may get an approval. So when you hear lenders talking about they're running their numbers through the system, they have a couple of different platforms that will run the loan so to get a decision. So that's basically what that is. That is our in-house automated underwriting,
But
basically.
would that be considered a pre-qualification or a pre-approval with that?
Yes, that's a pre-approval.
Got it.
Hmm. Yes.
So a
Um,
couple different systems will give you a couple different results.
Absolutely. Yes. So if one doesn't work, typically they try another one. Um, yeah.
That's also good to know.
Hmm.
Adjusting amortization period to lower payment.
Okay. So I had a customer to come in on yesterday. A couple of different things. You can Well, I had a customer come in. They wanted to do a 15-year. I'll put it like this. They wanted to do a 15-year. I suggested to them to do a 30-year, and they can just make the additional payments and pay it off in 15 years. So for one, your monthly payment obviously will be lower on a 30-year term versus the 15, and then they can just make the additional payments to get it down to the 15-year. So you can adjust it. We go from anywhere between 10 to 30-year amortization terms. So obviously, the longer the term of the loan, the lower the payment will be.
So you just suggest do a 30-year loan and double up on payments.
Yes.
Um,
And it depends
but
on it depends on the buyer as well. If you have someone that's savvy and they understand the financing on how that works. I mean, that's one thing. But most of my people are first-time home buyers and they want to try to get their payment down as low as possible.
yeah,
So, but when they hear 30-year, they was like, oh my God, 30 years. So, but just still do the 30-year and you can just double up on the payments.
what about adjusting interest rates to cover closing costs?
Yes, you can do that. So what that means is you're gonna take a hot and that and this is not very popular right now because the interest rates are kind
Yeah.
of, high, but there is such a thing. You could actually increase your interest rate to cover costs. So example, if the going rate is 7%, okay, but you say, hey, I am short a couple of $1,000 but your debt to income looks great. So by us increasing the interest rate, it will not hurt your DTI, but it'll help with your bottom line figure. So we can actually increase that interest rate to cover some of those costs for you.
We've talked about local grant bond programs. Do you think that needs to be a separate conversation?
I mean, there are a lot of different programs out here. I'm currently doing a program I have never done before. I know we've had it. It's called the Housing Fund. You can get up to $35,000. It is repayable, but it's anywhere in the state of Tennessee. Uh, so there are so many programs out here. There are local programs, Shelby County. We know that the City of Memphis program is coming available in July. That's the $25,000 grant funding.
Oh.
Yeah, there are a lot of programs out here. But also, mind you, when you're dealing with maybe some of these state and local programs, they're going to ask for tax returns. Okay, because they have to make sure that the buyer has not had ownership interest in the last 3 years. So please keep in mind to let them know because tax returns can make or break a deal in several different ways, meaning if they have a side hustle that they have a business on, it could, just kind of keep that in mind. State and local programs may ask for additional documentation.
But you get a lot of that. You get all of that up front typically.
Yeah, typically you
Yeah.
get all of that up front. But if
Yeah.
you have to, let's just say though, you have to shift a program in midstream and then they
Yeah.
want to take advantage of that. So just kind of keep those in mind.
And then
Um,
mortgage credit certificate.
MCC that I don't do a lot of those. I do have a young lady that does some of those here in the office. And what that is let's just say, for instance, we're short like uh, or we have a DTI issue. Okay. And based on their income, you can actually give them more income added to get their ratios in line. Now, it's not giving you, you should be at a 45 and you're at a 50 and you're trying to use this MCC credit, but it's credit that you'll actually use to kind of help offset your DTI when you're just over just a tad bit. Once again, it does, you have to be within a certain income restriction. So it's income restrictions as it relates to that.
And then last but not least, private lending.
Private lending, private lending comes into play when we actually we have, they're almost like brokered out loans. We'll use brokered out loans if there is another lender or whatever offering some non-conforming products and programs, non-conforming meaning like our bank statement loan or our DSCR loans or what have you, will actually go through an alternative different platform to get some financing.
All right, I
Mhm.
got a question in the chat. Hold on. It says, "What happens if the rate goes down during the buy down period? Is the buyer obligated to the original rate?"
If they're locked in, yes. Yes, if they're locked in, once you're locked, you're locked. Now, if the rate does go down significantly, you do have an option, but you have to notify the lender up front. You normally have at least a one-time float down option. So, meaning if the rate does decrease, you can take advantage of that. But normally it's a fee. Normally it costs maybe about a quarter percent or so to get that option. But you do, but typically once you're locked, you're locked. But you can request for that, or they can request for a one-time rate buy down option,
And I
float
think to
float down option.
to simplify all this for y'all, like I think that this creative financing has been an eye opener. I know for me, I'm sure for a lot of y'all. And if we don't see it, every single day, we're going to forget about the option. So that's why I said take that screenshot and put it somewhere that you have
Mhm.
access to. But I think it's important for y'all to understand so that you can communicate this to the masses. Number one, they have options. Like I always say, find a way, make a way. So number one, they have options. Everybody has options. There are tons of programs.
Right.
There's tons of things for creative financing, right? And then it is y'all's job just to understand general terms so that you can coach your customers. Hey, you need to find out the terms because that one piece that you just brought up, Patricia, the
Mhm.
customer needs to understand there's terms around each program, right? And so
Right.
y'all just have to, for y'all just have a high level understanding of it, right? You number one, you know that the customer has options. Number two, you just need to know, you've got a screenshot of all these different programs and offerings. And then number three, I would highly encourage you to communicate to your clients, understand the terms in which the offer is being given. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Hmm. Yeah, there are, yeah, absolutely. There are so many different ways, and I know we probably throw out creative kind of loosely, but you have to be creative in this in this business. You have to be able because you so many different scenarios come across your desk. I mean, I've had one where even I'm gonna give you an example of one real quickly. Oh, time is out. Okay, I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead,
go
Sherry.
give the example. Go for it.
Okay, so I had one, I could not get the loan approved, could not. So what I did, I end up reducing the term. So instead of doing a 30, I dropped it to a 20. And guess what? It approved it. And why? Because the risks are lower because now I've lowered the term of the loan. So there are so many different ways that you can do to, to be creative to get your client through.
And don't, I think what I really want y'all to get out of all of this, like, if you have a seller that wants to sell and you have a buyer that wants to buy, like let's create solutions for them so that they have options, right? So understanding what the programs are, what the terms are, what their options are, is key in being a successful real estate agent. I've heard a lot of people recently, they've called me because of creative financing. One just recently asking for a lease purchase option. Well, Tennessee Association of Realtors only has a form for commercial lease purchase. And so I was like, well, go get with an attorney, your title attorney, and ask them to draw it up. And so I'm proud of the agent because they're like, they didn't just stop that there wasn't a form, right? They didn't just stop and say, oh, I don't do lease purchase. What they said was, all right, I'm going to go to an attorney, get a form. They can help me, craft this for my buyer so that I can eventually get them into home ownership. So I think this is just such a critical piece of success as an agent, right? And to your point, as an LO, Patricia,
Mm.
right? Like y'all, we have to get creative if they're motivated. If they're not motivated, then obviously we're not pushing anything. But if they're motivated, help them understand and realize there's options. There's always options and there's always a solution. You just need to understand the risk and the terms. And I'm probably going to keep bringing this conversation back up in the next couple of months because I need y'all to understand all of these concepts because it's only going to make y'all a better realtor. All right. I know we're over today. Patricia, you are awesome. Thank you so much for all of the great information. Really
Mm.
appreciate it. Go find
Okay.
us some weed eaters and lawnmowers, folks. We need some help. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
too.